Hello everyone and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are the program that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So on today's program, vet and star of Channel 4's First Dates, Michael Lazaris, answers your most pressing questions about looking after your pets. Our guest Sonia Knight is getting a wonderful makeover and telling us about problems she had in her childhood that led to mental health struggles. And I'll be giving you some tips on how to spot a dysfunctional family. As always, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your most pressing medical questions on Doctor's Answers, and we'll also be covering a great workout for your glutes. But first, we have the fascinating iridologist Ronald Delary Simpson on the show, telling us about some of the best ways of improving your taste buds in order to get even more enjoyment of your food. Let's go and see him now. Hello, Ronald.
How are you, Chrissy? Great to see you.
Lovely to see you again.
Always delighted to be here.
So much for coming on.
Yeah, it's good.
So, our taste buds. So there are ways of actually, things that you can eat to actually improve the enjoyment of our food.
About 40,000 patients that I've seen in the last 40, 50 years. The remarkable thing is that what I discovered was that most of these people, they didn't understand the value of their taste buds. Mm-hmm. So they spice up with like salt and pepper and all that. But the taste buds are where you get your pleasure from eating. Mm-hmm. Right? And there's 75 trillion cells in the body, but there's millions of cells on your actual tongue as well, okay. Right? So what I discovered is that when you've got congestion in the small intestines, right? So in other words, if you've got congestion in the small intestines, the large intestine, the liver, and the thyroid, your taste buds actually become congested as well. Mm-hmm. So then when you're eating a nice juicy piece of fish or steak or herbs, you can't taste it. Okay. So that's why people slice up the stuff with tomato sauce and ketchup. But that actually negates the value of your taste buds. Right? And if your taste buds are in good shape, you will actually absorb more minerals. And the minerals are the key to breaking down food in your body. The more minerals you can absorb through initially starting with the tongue and chewing, the more it goes into your body, the more it goes into your intestines, and all these systems start to work away, and the minerals are what keep you young.
Okay.
You see that? So, and they're so effective, the taste buds are so important that when you have enjoyment of your food, your organs like your eyes, when you get to your 50s, 60s, 70s, are still good. No glasses. That's how valuable they are, right? So what actually happened...
How can you keep your taste buds working properly then?
Well, what I found was that I get a magazine called The New Scientist, very good magazine, and I went to America and worked there for a while, and then I went to Japan and so on. And what I found that was something extraordinary was the amount of meat that people eat and why it affects your taste buds, right? And what's remarkable is that there's an article, I'll show it to you, there's an article where it proves that the average American eats 122 kilos of red meat a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of meat, right? So, and then the British, 84 kilos, and the Chinese, 58 kilos. Now, and this is a really remarkable comment because when you look at the hypermarket, America got supermarkets, they've also got hypermarkets, and they're huge, like 300 yards, right? Guess what I discovered? 300 yards, one lane for digestive aids. Okay. Right? For digestive aid. That's how much business they make for digestive problems, of course, starting here. So, and then the second part of it was 300 yards on the other side for headaches, again caused by toxicity. So what happened is that when you look at 122 kilos of meat, and that tells you a hell of a story, because what's happened is this, that if you go back 60, 70 years, meat was a luxury. Right? Now for 2,000 years, our bowels have not changed. They're still the same digestive system. But if you were, say, a heavy-duty logger or heavy-duty carpenter or bricklayer doing very heavy work, you could get away with eating meat fairly regularly. But most people today are sedentary.
It's true.
So they tend to watch the computer, etc. But so what happens as a result is that they do not get to digest the meat because they're not burning it from their sedentary jobs, right? So it's very, very important to reduce the meat.
Okay. So how many times a week do you think?
I would, look, I'll tell you my personal story. I used to eat meat 3 times a week. But after I realised what the meat was doing, I now eat red meat 1 in 3 months.
Really?
Once in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about chicken and stuff?
Well, I tend to eat more chicken, more turkey, more fish. And as a result, I haven't lost any muscle. I haven't lost any cognitive functions. And I'm a lot healthier. And I have about 14 to 16 hours of energy because of the digestive system working so well. And when you look at the British people, which is 84 kilos, they're not very far beyond the Americans. So they tend to eat the full English breakfast. And, you know, when you're eating sausages, red meat, pork, bacon and beans and so on, that is one of the worst things you can do. Because and every hotel you go to, they've got the full English breakfast, and people just lean to it, right? So the taste buds become very clogged up, right?
Okay.
So what you need to do is you need to consume 38 grams of fibre and soluble fibre and insoluble fibre every single day to make this work. If you're less than 38 grams, like you might be on 12 grams or 14 grams, this starts to get congested, and when that gets congested, the whole system clogs up. The liver clogs up, and the pancreas plays up, and so on and so on. And then, by default, your taste bud also clogged up. So then you can't digest your food properly because your taste bud dictates how much you enjoy chewing.
Oh, wow.
You see?
Okay.
So because the more, and if you look at people, they just bolt the food down, right? The key is to have your taste buds so sharp that when you're chewing, you know, like some ghost cheese or, you know, some good piece of fish or whatever, that you're enjoying the chewing of it. And when you enjoy the chewing of it, guess what? Everything digests from here down.
Okay.
You see? So, but the key is 38 grams of fibre, soluble and insoluble, drinking at least 2.5 to 3 litres of water and juice. I was the first in the world in 1967 to discover the relationship on how water gets into the body cells, right? And I've bought this to show you today, where this is a 1 litre bottle. And what we recommend to get everything working, including your taste bud, is to decongest your cells, right? So this is 1 litre. So we put 800 mils of water and 200 mils of juice.
What kind of juice?
Cloudy apple juice, red grape juice, right? Whatever. Now the reason why this works is I discovered through biochemistry that when you drink water, it actually does mouth, stomach, kidneys, bladder, out. When you do it this way, 80-20, remarkably, it becomes a biochemical operation now. Then you drink it, because of that really 80-20 rule, it goes mouth, stomach, cells.
Oh, so feed your cells first before it goes...
Exactly. Okay. Then the kidney, then the bladder. Now, the beauty about that is that between 70 to 72% of your body's water, including your muscles, including brain and so on, right? So water. So when you have that ability to create this liquid, and the water goes in the system, and it hydrates everything, hydrates your brain, hydrates your heart cells, everything. The miracle happens where you stay young. You see, your skin improves, right? And your eye function improves. Now, I've just turned 71, and I drink 3 litres like that every single day. So I make up 3 of those every day. And during the day, about every 3 hours, I drink a glass, 2 glasses, all the way through, see? So what actually happened, that helps to enormously hydrate by doing the 80-20 rule, okay? Now, the other thing that's important is that when I was in the army, we used to do a slow march for the funeral part, you know, when people would come back from Vietnam. And I designed an exercise, which the army taught me. I redesigned it, and I'm going to show it to you. It's a fascinating exercise. And when you use this exercise, you actually create decongestion of your bowel, and you increase the muscle of your heart by doing a 2 kilometre. By the way, the way to do it is if you're severely unfit, you could start with 1 kilometre. But 2 kilometres is ideal to start, right? And the way to do it is you mark out 2 kilometres, right? And you do what I call a power walk. You don't stroll like Sunday afternoon. You do a power walk like this, right? You power walk like that. So everything's moving, right? Now the key is this: when you do the power walk, every 30 steps, right? Okay, I'm going to stand up to explain this. The 2 kilometres, you walk like super walk, like that, very fast. The moment you do 30 steps, you stop and you do this. You do that. 10 times.
10 times, okay.
10 times, right? And then you do another 30 steps and you do it again 10 times.
Okay.
Now, when you've done a 30 steps 10 times, that's the first week. The next week, you do 2 kilometres, you do 11.
Okay.
And you build it up to 30. And if you're doing this like that on a regular basis, that has a tremendously good effect on your digestive system.
Okay.
Because it builds the abs.
Brilliant.
And it also strengthens your core here.
Okay.
You get the idea?
Nice.
So when you combine that with the 38 grams of soluble and insoluble fibre.
Which would be what, quickly?
Okay, very quickly, soluble is things like for example, mango, apples, pears, plums. That is soluble. Insoluble will be oats, barley, wheat.
Right, okay.
Right, grains, right? So it's important to get the combination of soluble and insoluble fibre. So fruit's very important, vegetables very important, and of course the insoluble part, which is the barley and so on, that's critical. So you have to have them both together. Can't just be soluble, can't just be insoluble. It's got to combine together, all right? Now, the other thing is that with the liquids, it's a very good idea to have 3 bottles like that, built in the morning, and then at the end of the day, you've drunk the whole 3 bottles. Every day you've done that. Okay. You'll be amazed. In 8 weeks of doing that, your skin will glow. Right? Okay. Last but not least...
very quickly, we've run out of time, Ronald. 30 seconds, can you do it in 30 seconds?
Yeah. Last but not least, regular scraping of the tongue. Every morning and every night. You scrape your tongue with a proper scraper. You'd be amazed how much gunk stays in your tongue from the morning and the afternoon. So every time before you do your teeth, scrape your tongue.
Before you do your teeth?
Before you do your teeth, scrape your tongue first, get rid of it, and then clean your teeth thoroughly. Okay. I use an electric toothbrush, and that's much more powerful to remove the plaque. And when you remove the plaque from your teeth, it also helps to remove the rubbish from the tongue. Okay. Then your taste buds increase tremendously. Wow. So much so that when you eat now, you can taste every single ingredient in your food.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ronald, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Fascinating as usual.
Good.
And looking forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys, so don't go away, because after the break, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering all your medical questions, including this one. I have noticed small blood vessels in my eyes. What should I do? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show. So now it's time for our Doctor's Answer segment with Dr. Rob Hicks. Hello, Rob. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to have you on the programme again, Rob. So we have some questions from our viewers, and in particular this one we spoke about before the break. And this person says, hi, I'm 17 and have been wearing contacts for more than 5 years. I have noticed small blood vessels in my eye. I'm a model and don't want anything to affect my work. What should I do?
Well, the first thing is to get somebody to look at the eyes. This, redness in the eyes could be because of an allergic reaction, or it could be an infection. So what you need to do is to, in the first instance, have a chat with your optometrist, the person who examines your eyes and provides you contact lenses. However, if you're getting symptoms like pain in the eyes or any discharge from the eyes or any blurred vision, I would head straight to your GP or indeed your local accident and emergency eye department and get your eyes looked at. I mean, certainly in the meantime, it's probably best to keep the contact lenses out and use glasses until you get to the bottom of what's causing the redness and indeed whether any treatment's needed.
Okay, brilliant. Next question. I've recently been diagnosed with gout. What exercises are safe for me to do?
Oh, well, if you've actually got an attack of gout, you won't be doing any exercises at all because it's that painful. People often describe they can't even put a bed sheet on the part of the body. It's often the big toe that's affected because it's that uncomfortable. Once the attack is under control, then the best form of exercise is exercise that doesn't stress the joints. So swimming, for example, is a very good exercise. But you can have a chat with your doctor to see what exercises you can do because it depends on which joint. If it's the foot, then you might be able to do exercises where you're using your arms without any worry whatsoever. But if you've got gout elsewhere, you can get it in the elbows, for example, or in the wrists, then it might be that actually you're better off doing brisk walking, where although you're swinging your arms, you're not putting pressure on the affected joints. The other things to think about is to avoid those sort of foods, or at least reduce those foods that are high in purines. Purines are the chemicals that develop the uric acid, which then form crystals and go into the joints, causing the gout attack. So red meat, offal, yeast products, for example. But again, you can get some very good information from the gout support charities on what foods to have regularly and some that you need to cut down on. Keep hydrated and make sure that you don't drink too much alcohol because, of course, too much alcohol, particularly beers and spirits, you increase your risk of triggering gout attacks.
Okay, next question. My mother has polycystic ovary syndrome and my sister has been diagnosed with it too. Should I get a check? I get really painful periods.
The answer is if you've got painful periods and they're not being controlled and they're causing distress, then yes, a checkup is necessary.
Anyway,
I mean, simply from the point of getting advice on how to manage the periods, whether it's with painkillers, whether it's with massage, whether it's with a hot water bottle that you wrap in a cloth and you put onto your tummy, or whether it's warm baths or warm showers. But you have to think what are the other possible reasons of painful periods. Is it that you have an infection? You might even have a sexually transmitted infection. So I would think of getting a diagnosis and treatment for the painful period. Now, with regards to the polycystic ovarian syndrome, you might have it, but if it's not causing you any problems, then there's no need to be particularly worried about it. I mean, the sort of thing that it does cause is irregular periods for women, and often they only realise or find out they've got polycystic ovaries when they are having trouble falling pregnant. And they have some tests done, and lo and behold, they've got polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I wouldn't say that you necessarily need to get checked out simply because you've got it in the family. The reality is it can run in families, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it. So my advice to you would be to get the painful period sorted out first, so that you're not suffering in that way.
Okay. Next question: what should you drink and eat if you have diarrhea?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the key thing with diarrhea is that you lose fluid, so you're at risk of dehydration. So, water and dilute cordials, for example, is fine. You need to replenish your fluids. With diarrhea, the most recent advice is if you feel hungry, then eat a normal diet. There's no need to exclude any foods. That's for adults. For children, it's the same, of course. You need to make sure they've got plenty of liquids, and if they're eating solids, so if they're above sort of toddler age, then if they feel hungry, let them have them. With the babies who might be breastfeeding or formula feeding, you continue that as you normally would. The things to be alert to is if you're vomiting a lot and not keeping anything down, or if there's signs of dehydration, or there's a fever, then get medically checked out. A good guide with regards to dehydration is your pee, your urine, should be clear or straw-coloured yellow, and that shows that you're well hydrated. When it gets darker in colour, it means that you're not hydrated enough. so you need more fluids.
Okay, next question. I'm going on holiday soon. How can I keep my baby safe in hot weather?
Oh, very important question, that, isn't it? I mean, the key things with being overseas, particularly for babies, are dehydration. We just talked about that. Sun protection, and making sure they don't get too hot.
Okay.
So, with regards to, let's start off with dehydration. It's lots of fluids. Breastfed babies can be breastfed as normal. You may find that they want more feeds than usual because they're in an environment where they might be getting dehydrated. If it's formula feeds, then continue with the formula feeds, and you can use cool boiled water throughout the day to top up, for example. With sun protection, any baby under the age of 6 months should be kept out of direct sunlight. And then for other babies and children, obviously you want to protect them, keep them out of the sun as much as possible. Regularly applying an age-appropriate sunscreen that protects against UVA and UVB radiation, sun rays. Wide brim hats, caps with flaps at the back, cover them up and make sure you reapply the sunscreen on a regular basis, and keep them cool. So keep them in a cool environment. Maybe use fans, for example. Cool, lukewarm stroke cool baths for them. Not cold water, obviously, but those are the sorts of things to be mindful of, and then have a good holiday.
And your baby doesn't need to have a tan?
Absolutely not. Well, none of us need to have a tan because a tan is a sign of damage to the skin.
Yeah.
So if you want a tan, as an adult, fake it.
Yes, definitely. Okay, another question, quite an interesting one. Can you get a kidney infection from a tooth infection?
The scientific research would suggest yes, but it's incredibly rare, and it is sort of. It's not controversial, it's sort of unclear, so it's being discussed. The idea behind this is when you get inflammation in the gums, you get what's called periodontal disease. That's created partly by bacteria that get stuck in the gums. And there is some evidence, although it does tend to be swings and roundabouts, that 1 minute people say yes it is, and then other researchers say, well, maybe it isn't. But there is some thought that the bacteria from the gums can get to organs in the body like the heart, for example. That's where I think the most study has been. But likewise, it could get to the kidneys and trigger a kidney infection, but it is very, very rare, and it's by no means carved in stone that it happens.
Okay, and one last question, Rob. My daughter has hypoproteinemia, is that what you say?
That's right.
Hypoproteinemia and iron deficiency anemia. How can I help her?
Okay, well, hypoproteinemia just simply means low levels of proteins in the blood.
Okay.
And the way to help her is a very simple answer. You follow the advice of the doctor looking after your daughter, and you follow it to the letter. Simply because what might cause hypoproteinemia, it might be that they're not getting protein in a diet, so the diet is nutritionally deficient in protein. It might be that your daughter's not absorbing the protein. It might be that she has a liver condition, which means she's not manufacturing sufficient amounts of protein. Or it might be that she has a kidney problem, which means she's losing too much protein. Now, your doctor will say to you, what you have to do is treat the underlying cause of what's causing her to have low protein. So, follow that advice, research it, find out all the information you can. With regards to iron deficiency anemia, it depends how old your daughter is, but the most common reasons for iron deficiency anemia, certainly in the UK, for women is heavy periods where the iron is being lost on a monthly basis, or not getting enough nutrition, not getting enough iron in the diet, green leafy vegetables, for example, because people are on diets. So, and generally speaking, the advice then is to increase the consumption of iron-rich foods, green leafy vegetables, red meats, for example, and sometimes to take supplements. But I think it's very important. The way to look after her is twofold. One, follow the advice of the doctor looking after her. Two, find out as much as you can about the conditions so that you know that you're doing your best for her, and I'm sure you will be.
Rob, thank you so much for answering our viewer questions.
My pleasure, as
always. We'll see you again next week.
Yes, yeah.
And guys, if you have a question for Rob, you can email us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Now don't go away, because after the break we have our vet Michael Lazaris answering all your pet dilemmas. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you've been enjoying today's program. So Dr. Rob Hicks has been answering your medical questions, and Iridologist Ronald Delary Simpson has been giving us his top tips on how to improve the effectiveness of your taste buds. And we've got loads more great stuff coming up for you now, including some great exercises from fitness instructor Natalia Kotowska, an appearance by celebrity vet Michael Lazaris, and I'll be giving you my tips on spotting dysfunctional families. But now we have our lovely guest Sonia Knight, who's been getting a lovely makeover. And here's a photo of her before. And here's the gorgeous lady now. Hello, Sonia.
Hello, Chris.
Did you enjoy your makeover, my darling?
I really have enjoyed it.
Oh, is this kind of makeup you would normally put on, or is it a little bit different for you?
You know, I usually just use a bit of powder and my lipstick. So this is a real blessing for me.
Can I ask you, do you mind sort of telling the viewers your age? Because you really don't look your age.
I'm 62.
You don't look it at all, my darling.
Thank you.
Wow. So there must be a secret there, but you can tell us about that later.
Later.
Okay. So you do have a gorgeous smile, but things weren't always like this for you, were they? Can you tell us about your past?
Well, when I was younger, my mom left us, myself and my sister, back home, and she came here. And I went to live with a family member that I really trusted. But as I said, I would get the best things to wear, the food to eat, always had a roof over my head, but I didn't get that love. I was not told that I was loved. I was not hugged. I was just beaten.
Well, and did that start straight away, Sonia, or was that something that kind of it was okay for a while and then?
No, it's if I made a mistake, I was the only child there. But if I made a mistake, I wasn't spoken to. I was beaten.
Wow.
You know, and that really, it confused me, because if you love me, then you would take care of me. You know, and that went on, and that for a good while.
Yeah.
And then that family member left to Jamaica as well.
Can I just ask you something? So you must have already been kind of feeling rejected maybe by your mum because she'd left you there back home. Were you, or did you understand, were the circumstances explained to you?
She left me at a young age. I wasn't
so you didn't really understand?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Were you not confused that you were now with this other person?
No, because I trusted the person, so
okay.
No problem.
So you kind of saw them as another mum to you,
yes,
really?
No problem, you know, and materially I was taken care of. But then if I made a mistake, I would be slapped. I would be hit with whatever she could get her hands on.
So we're not talking about just the smack here, we're talking actually, when you say beaten.
Beaten. Wow. Beaten. I remember at one stage I was having my shower, and she came into the bathroom and she gave me a good hiding. Wow. That's what it was like, you know, and that went on for a good while.
What did you feel towards her at the time? What did you feel towards her at the time?
I thought it was love.
Really?
Because I didn't know anything else, you know, and she eventually left Jamaica, and I was passed on to someone else, which I trusted, who I trusted as well, and it continued. And at that stage, it was even worse than before. Wow. It was really worse than before, and I just couldn't understand it, you know. And I eventually found solace in the neighbors next door. And it reached a stage where I remember one day the neighbor had to be speaking to my family member, you know, and take care of her. She's a woman's child, you know, so I found solace in them. I would go next door, but even though I was there, something was not right for me, you know, because doing that, I was still abused, because I would go back over, I wouldn't get the food to eat. That's what it was. When I look back at it, it was really horrible, you know, but I thought it was love. Yeah.
How are you feeling about yourself with all these things going on? How was it affecting you mentally? What were your impressions of yourself?
For myself, inside, I was empty, and I was searching. And my search led me to having relationships with men, you know? Whether a married man, whatever, I was searching. And I'm not even sure I know what I was searching for. But I was searching for something, but I didn't find it.
Yeah. And you didn't find it?
No, I didn't find it.
So what were your relationships like? Were they bad as well?
Oh, horrible. And I found myself at one stage I would target married men.
Why?
I don't know. I think I was on a vendetta. I wanted somebody to feel the hurt that I was going through. Mm-hmm. You know, and it never worked. It never worked.
Did it make you feel worse about yourself?
Yes,
okay.
It never worked. Mm-hmm. You know, and that went on and on until eventually I left Jamaica. I came here, you know, and I got into a relationship. I thought all was all right. I thought I'd overcome. Leaving Jamaica, I think it would be different here, you know, but that's when I realized that inside of me was not right. And this man started abusing me. I kept everything inside. I would be walking, I would be crying and not even realizing it, you know. And I remember I thought, I can't go on with this anymore.
Which is one thing after the other.
Yeah, I can't keep this up anymore. And I attempted suicide because the people I trusted didn't take care of me. No, I am here and this is a situation. Why would I be living? You know? But it happened that somebody spoke to me about a charity. I went and the counselors listened to me. That was the first time I realized that it was not a shame to talk.
Okay. Which a lot of people find difficult to actually talk about their past. Like.
Yes, you know, and with time, things changed. You know, I never knew how to laugh, but now you...
That's so cute. You're quite you're a very happy and bubbly person today, but you weren't like this before.
No. I never knew what it was to laugh. I didn't know what it was to be hugged. I didn't know anything about that. You know, but when I think of it, probably they thought it was love. I don't know. But I forgive them because I thought they probably thought it was love.
Yeah.
But I have learned.
Okay.
I have learned, you know, and along the way, I think people who have these problems, they should feel free to talk.
Yes, definitely.
People are out there to listen, you know, and it does help. It does help. And I'm here happy. I laugh.
Good for you.
I just laugh.
That's Sonia. Some people might say, but you know, I don't feel that I can be happy after abuse. But that's not true, is it?
It's not true. It is not true. You know, and it's not a shame. As I say, it is not a shame to talk. You don't talk, it will be pent up. You will get sick.
Yeah. Or lead to someone attempting suicide, like in your case.
Yes, you know. So just talk.
How's life for you today, Sonia?
I am happy, and I'm moving on. I'm fighting for things, and it's going in stages, but it's happening.
Brilliant.
You know, and it is so good, you know, because where I'm working at the moment, sometimes the people would see me and say, I went there, I didn't see you. I love to see you when I go there, you know.
Oh.
You know, and it is so good. It is so good. And Chris, it is good to be happy. It's good to be able to laugh.
Yes. Brilliant.
It is good to be able to laugh. And I just say, people, don't suffer, talk.
Yeah, brilliant.
Talk. And if you see me on the street, look at my face. You can stop and talk with me as well.
Oh, bless.
Yes.
You have that kind of face that people just want to talk to, so it's amazing. Brilliant. Sonia, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's really inspiring to see, you know, things that you've been through. I know there was a lot more that happened which we didn't have time to go into, but, you know, I'm sure that's helped our viewers at home. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's brilliant having you, darling. All right, guys, so we do have a bit more for you before the break. And if, by the way, if you have an inspiring story that you would like to share on this sofa, you can contact us on info@chrissybshow.tv. But now, as promised, we have a great workout for you from one of our fitness instructors, Natalia Kotowska.
Hey guys, my name is Natalia Kotowska, NK Do It with Nat. I'm a personal trainer, fitness instructor, dancer, and a boxer. And I will present you today a few exercises that will help you to maintain the great shape. Here we go. The first exercise is for your lower body. We call it squat. I'm sure that you know all of those exercises very well, but what is very important is to maintain the right technique. So we want to make sure that the technique is right. We open our chest, we go low, make sure that the knee, toes, heels all are in 90 degrees. We arch our back, we open our chest, we can extend our arms, we can keep them here, we can keep them on our shoulders. We go all the way up, squeezing our glutes in, strong, and breathing out. We go all the way down, we go all the way up. We go all the way down, make sure that we open our chest, look up. It's good to spot. Make sure that you choose one place where you're looking at, so that will be your spot. And you keep going down and up. It's good to do at least 12 of those in 12 repetition, 3 sets. I would say that's the starting point. That's the very basic squat. Now, if you want to make it more difficult, you can do air squat. So squat with the jump high up, landing on your feet, going all the way up, down, low. Again, make sure the technique is right. So the knee should never be in front of your feet. Everything should be in a 90 degree. So booty low, on your heels, make sure your knees are really in a parallel position. So you're looking forward, you're going all the way up, jumping, landing. Hop through your knees, down, up, knees, down, hop. Again, if you want to make it more difficult, go from the basic squat to the air squat right away. You can do 3, 5, 6 sets of 12, 15, 18 repetition each. Whatever you feel like works better for you, whatever level you are at. So that's enough for today in terms of the lower body exercise. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time.
Thank you very much to Natalia, and next up we have our vet Michael Lazaris on to answer your pressing questions on how to take care of your pets. But first, by number owned, what is the most popular pet in the UK? Is it A, cats, B, dogs, or C, fish? Find out after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now we're going to be answering some of your pressing questions on how to look after your pets. But first, before the break, I asked you, by number owned, what is the most popular pet in the UK? Is it A, cats, B, dogs, or C, fish? Well, I can tell you that it's C, fish. Yes, according to yourcat.co.uk, the UK's favourite pet is in fact fish, with around 15 to 20 million being kept in tanks and another 20 million kept in ponds. Dogs are a not so close second with 8.5 million owned worldwide, and cats come up third with 7.5 million. And speaking of pets, we have vet and expert in all things pets, Michael Lazaris, in the studio to answer some of your questions, and he has a little friend with him.
Yes.
And this is Chloe.
Chloe.
Welcome to the show.
Thank
I
you.
She likes you.
I think I've made a new friend.
I know, and she's so adorable. So she'll be helping you answer the questions today.
Obviously, yes.
Okay, so shall we get straight to the questions, Michael?
No problem.
And guys, if you have a question for Michael anytime, you can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. So the first question we have, Michael, is, I've been cutting my cat's nails with a human nail clipper as I can't use the proper pet ones, and there hasn't been an issue. Lately, however, when I try to cut her nails, she really gives me a hard time and sort of growls at me. I'm concerned that she may be in pain.
Okay, a lot of clients are scared to clip their pet's nails. It's not necessarily painful. I just think some cats really don't like their paws being touched, and they can just get quite grumpy. This question, they said that they were using human nail clippers. I wouldn't really use those because the cat nail clippers are actually round, so they encircle the nail and do a nice clean cut, whereas human scissors, you don't really get that same effect. So I definitely advise getting a pair of pet nail clippers.
Okay.
And the main thing, what? Yes.
She doesn't like it.
Exactly, even she doesn't like us talking about nails. The main thing you need to worry about with cutting their nails is that if you cut too short, there are actually some blood vessels.
Okay.
Now, if you do actually cut those, the nail will bleed for just a few minutes, so don't panic. All you need to do is just apply some pressure with a cotton pad, and eventually the bleeding will stop.
Okay.
A home remedy that some people use is actually corn flour. So if the nail's bleeding, they make a little paste with corn flour, stick it on the nail, apply pressure, and that usually helps. I know.
Okay. She's excited. Okay.
Very excited.
All right, brilliant. Next question. My dog appears to have a cold and has been sneezing constantly for almost a week now. Is there anything I can give him to help? Other than the sneezing, he is well and has no other symptoms.
Okay. If the sneezing's very mild and it's only been going on for a day or two, I wouldn't really give anything because it's probably just a viral infection. Okay. If, however, there's any discharge, like yellow snot coming out, or if the sneezing just doesn't go away, I'd definitely go to the vet, because sometimes things like antibiotics or other medication can definitely help, especially if it's an infection. However, there can be other causes of sneezing as well. Sometimes dogs get foreign bodies stuck up their nose, like blades of grass or tiny little toys from the kids. And you can even get some types of growths in the nasal cavity, and that can cause sneezing as well. So if it's not going away, or if you think it's quite bad, I'd definitely go to the vet, because you would want that to be checked out sooner than later.
Brilliant. Okay, next question. I have an 11-year-old tabby cat, and over the past month I have noticed a change in his appetite. On a recent trip to the vet, he was examined and had blood drawn for testing. The vet said that one of his kidneys was enlarged. The results showed normal liver and kidney function. In the past, Tigger has lost a little more than 3 pounds. He is not eating right. He eats very little and drinks a lot of water. The vet would like to x-ray his kidney. Do you have any insight on what his problem may be? So concerned owner, yeah.
That's quite a complicated question. Old cats usually get a few issues that can come up. One of them definitely can be kidney issues, and that can cause the increased drinking that was mentioned. Yes. But the increased drinking can be caused by other things such as diabetes or an overactive thyroid gland. So they did bloods, which is great, but you would have to make sure that they include the thyroid hormone test, also looking for glucose, which is blood sugar, because that can give you a bit more info about diabetes and an overactive thyroid gland. Then the next step would be maybe getting a urine sample, because that can also give you a lot of information, whether the kidneys are working properly, if they're concentrating the urine. Also, if there's a lot of glucose in the urine, that can be a sign of diabetes as well. And then they said that they found or could feel an enlarged kidney. X-rays can be good, but if they have an ultrasound scan, that would be even better, because that gives a lot of information. And you can also look at a lot of the other organs as well. You can look at the bladder, look at the intestines. Yes. So
she's trying to answer the question.
I know, what are you saying? Yeah, she agrees. You do an ultrasound.
Okay. And we have, sorry, was there anything else on that one?
No,
okay, all right, so let's ask the next one. So this person, another question about a cat. I have a female cat that has started to pass blood with something that looks like a tapeworm or longworm. She has also thrown up blood with what looks like a long tubular worm. She's drinking and seems okay and has not lost any weight. What can I do?
Okay.
Chloe, come here.
Do you want to go
come and sit with me for the run off now. Come on, you can help me read the questions. Okay.
So the fact that the cat's throwing up with blood is quite alarming. You definitely want to go get that checked out as soon as possible with your vet. Just because if they're vomiting up blood and they have diarrhea, they can become dehydrated very quickly. They can also become anemic. So they don't have enough blood cells running through them. It's most likely just a heavy parasite infection, so the vet would give your cat a full check over, make sure that he or she isn't dehydrated and everything else is okay, and then just give some medication to flush out those worms.
Okay, one last question. This one's about a guinea pig. Well, we've got a different animal here for once. Okay, so our guinea pig has an area of dry, scabby skin on his back, and his fur has gone quite thin. What could the problem be?
Okay, so guinea pigs can get mites. So mites on the skin can cause that type of hair loss, and usually the skin becomes quite flaky as well. So that can be cured or treated with a special type of parasite drop that you put on the back.
We're listening to Michael. Oh, we need to answer the last question. Okay, sorry.
So that would kill any of the parasites on them.
Yeah.
But your vet would also check the guinea pig over, because hair loss can be due to some hormone problems as well. So they'd want to rule out that first and then just give the parasite treatment.
Okay. Brilliant. Michael, thank you so much.
No problem.
Chloe's been amazing, a little bit noisy, but she's great. Would love to have her back again one day.
She's been a good.
And guys, as we said, if you do have a question for our vet here, you can email us on she can do the link to break, info@chrissybshow.tv. So we'll see you again soon, Michael.
See you soon.
All right, guys, so now actually we're speaking about, well, earlier we heard Sonia's story about coming from a dysfunctional family. Now I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to actually spot a dysfunctional family and what to do about it. Bye. So these tips come courtesy of fgbt.org, and the first sign of a dysfunctional family is when there is addiction. So this can be addiction on the part of one or more of the family members, and this doesn't necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol, but it typically manifests itself by making it difficult for family members to communicate and may affect the family financially also. So typically addiction is a problem suffered by the adults in the family, but also the older children and even teenagers can suffer from addictions in various different forms. The second sign is that there is a controlling family member. So this is a hallmark characteristic of dysfunctional families, is control. And control means that one member of the family exerts his or her will on some or all of the other family members. So for example, a husband can be quite kind of suffocates his wife, doesn't allow her to see her friends, or it could be being overly strict with the children. And control usually occurs from spouse to spouse or from parent to child in a dysfunctional family. The third sign they talk about is poor communication in the family. So the general communication can be strained or ineffective or sometimes even non-existent, which can actually result in misunderstandings, and people don't really express themselves in the family. And also, this kind of thing does occur throughout the family as well. And the next point they talk about is when there is abuse in the family, of course. So whether the abuse is physical or emotional, it doesn't matter. And abuse typically occurs from one spouse to the other or from a parent to a child. And sometimes actually children also abuse each other, whether through physical or emotional means. And finally, the last point I'd like to highlight in this series is there is perfectionism in the family. So it might not necessarily seem like it's a characteristic of a dysfunctional family, but actually perfectionism is one. So it can actually be a reflection of unrealistic expectations towards other family members, and it can result in low self-esteem in the different parties in the family. So those are the tips that I wanted to share with you. But you might say, okay, so what do I do if this is my case, if this is my family? So if you're the adult in the family and the behavior is coming from your partner, then this needs to be addressed with your partner as soon as possible if you haven't said anything yet. I think most people would have at some point said something, but if you haven't, make sure that you actually speak to your partner about how this is affecting you and the children. And if you're the young person and it's your parents that are behaving this way, and you've tried to talk to your parents, then the next stage is to actually talk to another adult that you trust. So maybe you say, well, I can't actually speak about this to my parents, I'm afraid. Then you definitely need to speak to a responsible adult, someone that can help you. Well, everyone, I'm afraid that's it for today's show, but if you have a story that you would like to share, please do email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and how I beat other mental health issues that I had, you can visit my website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
I loved it, and I'm looking forward to being back here. It was so great, especially the makeover part. I love it to bits, I tell you. Chrissy B, I'm ready to be back at any time.